Verbal pauses cause the prospect to engage. They cause their brain to have to stay curious. Okay, think about all the greatest speeches in life. Like if you've heard Tony Robbins speak, or, I'm not really into politics, but President Obama was an amazing, gifted orator, like a great speaker. And when he spoke, you're going to notice he pauses a lot in his statements. Okay, maybe he talks about hope. Americans want hope. They want change. See that verbal pause? What if I said this? Americans want hope. They want change. And you just start talking fast without verbal pauses. There's no emotion in that. Or think about Martin Luther King, the I have a dream speech. I have a dream that one day all men will be created equal in the eyes of God. Now, I might not be saying that word for word, but you're going to notice the verbal pauses he does through that speech. The verbal pauses force your brain to think about the next thing he says after that pause. If he said, I have a dream that one day all men will be created equal, and he just talked fast, we probably wouldn't even know about that speech because it would have never had any emotion involved in it with the people that heard it. You wouldn't even know about it, okay? The power of the verbal pause is crazy when you're trying to persuade and influence, okay? And it causes them to think deeper about what you're asking. They internalize it more, okay? All right, now, let me show you an example of this. Let's say if I sold cybersecurity and we're talking about their fraud stack, okay? I might say, so are you 100% happy with the way your fraud stack is set up? Or I could say, so is your management team 100% happy with the way your fraud stack is set up? Okay? Notice the verbal pause before 100%. And after 100%, and instead of saying satisfied, I just put in the word happy or content. So is your management team 100% satisfied with the way your fraud stack is set up? See, I'm verbal pausing before the words I want them to focus on, which is 100%, then satisfied or happy with fraud stack. Verbal pause before that is set up. See, the verbal pauses causes that prospect to think deeper about what I'm asking. I say 100% because no one is satisfied with anything 100%. There's always something you want better about it. Nobody's happy with anything you have 100%. Think about the person you're dating now or married now. I've given this example in a lot of other trainings. The first couple months you started dating them, you were completely happy. They didn't do anything wrong. They were perfect. 6 months later, you found what? Things you didn't like. See, that's just human behavior 101, okay? Now that's a verbal pause, but I'm also pacing. I'm pacing out the question using verbal pauses, those little periods there, okay? Let me give you another example here. Now this is a verbal pause here, and I'm pacing this out. I've given this example other times here. Can I ask why this is so important to you now, though? So after they say something like they want to have something, they want do, oh, I just need, I just feel like it's time for us to upgrade. I've been making more money. I just need a nicer car. Can I ask why having a nicer car is so important to you now, though? Okay. And now I have them focus on the word now. That means urgency. Because I did the verbal pause right before now, that forces their brain to think, why do I want the car now? Why do I want to change now? So it doesn't matter. Can I ask why that's so important to you now, though? Now, though. Now, this is the same verbiage, the same words, but now I'm going to get them to focus on why this is so important now. Whatever the thing is, this thing, okay? So let's say it's a life insurance policy. Can I ask why this is so important to you now, though? Can I ask why the coverage is so important to you now, though? So this, or whatever the thing is you sell, why is this so important to you now, though? Now, I verbal pause right before this. This is just generic. You can plug in whatever it is. Let's say if I'm selling, let's just go back to the cybersecurity and the fraud stack stuff. Can I ask why fixing the fraud stack is so important to you now, though? Can I ask why fixing the fraud stack is so important to you now, though? Okay? This, or whatever I'm going to put. That's verbal pausing, but I'm also pacing out. These two sentences, same exact words, but I cause their brain in this sentence to think about why now. That is for more urgency. Why do it now? And in this sentence, same words, but now because of the verbal pause, I force their brain to tell me and themselves why whatever they said they want, this is important right now. Not, see, this is right now urgency, why this is important, okay? And I simply do that. I control what their brain thinks by the verbal pause. Remember, I'm not doing that to them, I'm doing that for them. Okay, remember, selling something you do to people or selling something you do for people. It's for people. So if I don't master this, I'm not really helping them solve their problems, okay? All right, let's keep going here. Okay, so let me give you another example. Let's say if I'm in problem awareness and I have some type of SaaS product here that is automated and it weeds out flaky drivers for truck driving companies. So let's say if they're a trucking company and their problem is they're hiring a lot of flaky drivers, and they get out there, they get their license, they get out there for a week, they don't like it, they quit, and then the trailer just is parked back at their headquarters collecting dust with all that merchandise in it. Could be a problem. They're gonna lose the contract, lose a lot of money, okay? So let's say that I have some type of software that automates the hiring process for them that weeds out these flaky drivers, whereas before they're having to go through hundreds of resumes and they're trying to figure out who's flaky or not. And the human error is causing them a lot of problems here. So I might lean and say, so you've been advertising on Indeed the last couple of years. I mean, do you 100% like the results you've been getting? Okay, see the verbal pause, right before 100% and right before like. So you've been advertising on Indeed. Now, if they've already told me a problem they don't like, if they've already told me something they don't like, so besides getting some of these flaky drivers, because you've been on Indeed the last 12 months, do you 100% like the type of people that you're bringing in from those? Okay, I could plug that in there, okay? Let's say if I'm in the recruiting or staffing industry. So you've been using Indeed the last 3 years. I mean, what's caused you to feel like that's not getting you the best people? Notice the verbal pauses right here, okay? Now, I don't just verbal pause for the heck of it. It's strategic where I'm verbal pausing here. So you've been using Indeed the last 3 years. Pause. Now I want them to focus on what's caused you to feel like. That's the first thing I want them to focus on. What's caused you to feel like? Now I don't want to say what's making you look at this. The word is feel, because I want to keep them on their emotional side of their brain. So what's caused you to feel like? Then I pause, because now I want them to focus on that's not getting you the best people. So I'm focused on what's caused you to feel like that's not getting you the best people. Now their brain is focused on this. See how I can control the thoughts. I'm doing that for them, not to them, okay? Because if I can't help them get a very clear picture of what their real problems are and how that's affecting them, they feel no urgency to change. They feel no urgency to change, they don't buy, and their problems don't get solved. See what I'm doing there? Okay, hope that helped you. If you need more help on there should be a link down below, or you can always text me if you have the number. Hope that helped you.